The decision to travel is a personal one. This video is meant to educate those currently planning to travel of my personal experience traveling to Jamaica. Policies and protocols mentioned are as of July 25th, 2020. Go to www.visitjamaica.com for the most up-to-date information. Everyone traveling to Jamaica is currently required to complete a travel authorization form. This can be done at visitjamaica.com. All non-business travelers 12 years of age and over who are residents of Arizona, Florida, New York, and Texas are required to upload a negative COVID-19 PCR test result. The test sample collection must be within 10 days of the arrival in order to obtain a travel authorization. If you are not from one of those states, you are required to complete the travel authorization between 5 days prior to your arrival, but no less than 72 hours prior to your arrival. The non-resident online application requires you to enter an email. It's important that you enter an email that you actually use because they will be sending you a temporary password and information while you are in Jamaica to that email address. For privacy reasons, I have blocked out some of my identifying information, but you can see here you enter your name and your intended date of travel. The next page asks for even more personal information, including your address, city, state, and zip code, your occupation, your intended dates of travel, your date of birth, your gender, your telephone number, a mobile telephone number, your passport information, if you visited any countries within the past 6 weeks, and the purpose of your visit. Additionally, you'll have to identify any family members traveling with you. However, they will need to complete their own travel authorization. Before you can continue, it will ask you to confirm your passport information. Next, it will ask you to answer questions regarding your health, if you've had any symptoms of illness, if you've been tested for COVID-19, if you've been in contact with anyone with COVID-19, etc. Next, you will need to provide information about where you're going to stay. Hotels that have been certified are populated on this list, and so you simply have to choose the hotel or resort that you'll be staying at, and the information about that hotel will automatically pop up. The next screen asks for your consent. There's a lot of information here that you should read through to understand exactly what you're getting into when you are traveling to Jamaica. It's important to note that even though you may not have had to submit a negative COVID-19 test to enter Jamaica, you may still be tested upon arrival. The final part of the application for the travel authorization is the Immigration and Customs form, and here you'll need to enter more personal information, including your address, your passport information, any countries you visited in the last 6 weeks, your flight information, the number of pieces of luggage that you intend on bringing. There's also a customs declaration form here where you'll answer questions about what it is that you are bringing into the country. Finally, you'll declare that the information given is true and correct, and that you understand that failure to make a full declaration is an offense and may result in fines, forfeiture of goods, and/or imprisonment, and that you also have the right to appeal. Within seconds of hitting submit of my travel authorization, I did receive an email saying that my application was approved and I could travel to Jamaica. In the email, there'll be a link to the Travel Authorization Visit Jamaica site where you can find your travel authorization certificate, download it, and print it. You must have the certificate in order to board the flight to Jamaica. It is now 5:37 a.m. and we are through security. Security took all about 10 minutes, I guess. I did get pulled to secondary because they didn't like my fan, but it's all good. And as you can see, it's a very empty Chicago airport. Our flight from Chicago O'Hare to Charlotte was nearly empty. It was maybe 30% full. You only had to sit next to someone if you were traveling with them. We flew on American Airlines in the main cabin, and there was no beverage service. Upon entering the plane, we were given a small bag that had a bottle of water, a package of Biscoff cookies, and a hand wipe. Nearly everyone stayed seated for the duration of the flight, although you could get up to use the restroom. When the plane landed, everyone stayed seated and practiced social distancing until it was their turn to exit the plane. Once we arrived at our gate in Charlotte, everyone had to show their travel authorization form in order to have their boarding pass marked, and then when you were boarding the plane, you had to show it again. Our flight from Charlotte to Montego Bay was pretty full, probably about 80%. When we landed in Montego Bay, about half of the passengers were made seated before it was their time to disembark. We purchased Club Mobe for both the arrival and the departure on this trip, and we were greeted by our Club Mobe representative as soon as we came down the ramp. Just after meeting our Club Mobe representative, we had to get in line to have our temperature taken. I've heard conflicting reports of if Club Mobe helps you through the health screening process or not. In our experience, we still had to wait in line for the health screening. We did not get to skip the line. However, I did meet other people on our trip who had Club Mobe and were able to go to the front of the health screening. Everyone on our plane who had Club Mobe did have to wait in line for the health screening. The first part of the health screening was to have your temperature taken. Once they took your temperature, they wrote it on a little piece of paper that you had to hold on to. There were 2 lines going down this long hallway, and the Jamaican military is performing crowd control, so don't be alarmed when you see men in military suits telling you what to do. Every time we moved forward or turned a corner or moved rooms, we were all required to sanitize our hands. The hand sanitizer in the airport is very, very sticky and very, very potent. Everyone in the airport is required to wear a mask. At this point, I was told that I had to put my camera and my phone away and I could not videotape. We finally made it to the health screening. I was asked to sit down and my husband stood behind me. The Minister of Health was wearing a mask, face shield, hairnet, gloves, and like a disposable surgical gown, and asked us a number of questions. Pretty much everything that we were asked on the travel authorization form, she asked again. We were also required to give an emergency contact in the state. There were also additional questions where we were asked if we come in contact with anyone with Ebola, malaria, as well as COVID-19. Our risk was assessed, and it was determined that we did not have to take a COVID-19 test. We proceeded through the fast track of Customs and Immigration through Club Mobe's lines. Then we were given this health alert notice and told that if we got sick or had any symptoms, we needed to notify the Ministry of Health. Almost immediately, I received an email with our stay-in-zone order. The Jamaican government has created what they're calling the Resilient Corridor, and this is the areas where people of high risk, i.e. tourists, are required to stay while they are in Jamaica. This is what I signed when I met with the Minister of Health. Basically, that we would stay in the Resilient Corridor, and if we were to become symptomatic or test positive at any point, that we would notify the Ministry of Health immediately. Really, after we got through the health screening portion, everything else moved very quickly. Customs and Immigration only took a few minutes. The entire process from the time we walked off the plane until we were in the Club Mobe lounge having a cocktail took 47 minutes. Honestly, I was really scared about going to Jamaica. I didn't know what to expect and wasn't sure about the whole process of getting through the health screening. So I made this video in hopes that it helps other people who are planning to travel to Jamaica. I would not hesitate at all to return. I appreciate their health protocols. Please leave any questions you may have about my experience in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love for you to subscribe. I have Jamaica vlogs coming up very soon. Thank you so much for watching.